Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to my video. And now we are already in our fifth meeting, yeah. And I will share the material for this meeting. But actually, I have to say to you that this material is still continuing the material in my third oh no, in my fourth video ya. Because at that video we still discuss about South Asian Anglicist, but uh it's not complete ya. So I will make a brief explanation to start from the beginning of South Asian Anglicist, and then I will continue what we discuss lately ya. But before we go on the material, I will share to you, I will read for you the vision of Latan Samashiro University, our vision of faculty, teachers training and education, and also our vision of English education study program. I will start from the vision of Latansa University, Latansa Mashiro University, okay? The vision is menjadi universitas yang unggul, berdaya saing global, berjiwa entrepreneurship, dan berlandaskan akhlakul karimah. And then for the vision of Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, menjadi fakultas keguruan dan ilmu pendidikan yang unggul pada penyiapan bahan ajar berbasis digital dan edupreneur yang dapat berdaya saing global dijiwai akhlakul karimah. And the last one, for vision of our English Education Department, menjadi program studi pendidikan bahasa Inggris yang unggul pada penyiapan bahan ajar berbasis digital dengan pendekatan kearifan lokal, serta edupreneur yang memiliki daya saing global dijiwai akhlakul karimah. If you notice here, all of the vision uh, in the end talking about akhlakul karimah. It means that our vision help hope that all the students in Latansa Mashiro University will become a person that have a knowledge and also have akhlakul karimah as a Muslim. As a Muslim, we have to make ourselves being a good deeds. Yeah. So if we want to have a good deeds, we have an iman, we have we have to do act as a akhlakul karimah, everyone. That's the message, yeah, from the vision. And then I will continue with a surah, yeah, for this meeting. Hope this surah can inspire us, yeah, to become more and more to be a long life learners, yeah. The Quran Surah Az-Zumar verse 9, yeah. Say, those who know equal to those who do not know. Indeed, only those endowed with understanding will take heed. This surah means that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala emphasized the significant difference between those who possess knowledge and those who don't have a knowledge, everyone. People of knowledge have the ability to gain deeper understanding of life, religion, and the world, and to derive wisdom from every event. Through knowledge, one becomes wiser and more capable of guiding oneself and others toward the path of truth. So in here, this Quran Surah Az-Zumar, verse 9, teach us that Allah says in this Quran Surah Az-Zumar, verse 9, that we as a Muslim have to make ourselves clever by searching knowledge, yeah, all of knowledge, because there is a difference between someone have a knowledge and don't have a knowledge, yeah. If we have a knowledge, we can become more wiser, we can be more pious, yeah, and understand everything, yeah. We will uh become more capable of doing something if we have a knowledge, everyone. So I hope from this surah we can learn and inspire us to always learn a new knowledge, yeah, as we learn this section about South Asian Englishes as a part of word Englishes in TESOL. Actually, I will explain you again, once again, in this video, what we are going to talk about. I already talked about the historical background, yeah, in the fourth video, and also the status of South Asian Englishes, but I will make it a summary for you. Yeah, it's okay. And then nativization, yeah, bilinguals creativity, Anglicization in South Asia. I know that the last video is talk about Anglicization in South Asia, but it's to be continued, yeah. So in this video, I will continue till the end. And attitude toward English, model of South Asian Englishes, and conclusion. Yeah, also suggested activities. So everyone, I already talk about why English become widely, yeah, around the world, because English is old language that use around or for communication for all of countries, yeah, in the world. uh, as the impact for using this English as the communication, yeah, language for communication, all of countries in the world learn English, yeah. But you have to know that in the first and second meeting, I already talked about the Karchus theory, yeah, about the cycle of three cycle, three circle, yeah, circle of English language that Karchu divided into three. There is an inner circle, outer circle, and expanding circle that divide based on the uh, spreading English language around the world. Yeah, if we talk about inner circle, there is a circle that only native English that include in this circle. Yeah, and for the outer circle, there is a several countries, like we will discuss. South Asia is one of the outer circle. The countries that around South Asia is in the outer circle, everyone. Why? Because in South Asia and also in outer circle, all of the countries speak English because of colonialization. Yeah. So they have a memorizing, or they have to do nativization. Yeah. Because of the colonialization from the native countries. It can be British or England. American, and so on. Yeah, that come to these countries. And how about the expanding circle? We will talk about it more, but not in the South Asia. Yeah, maybe in the next video. Okay, but you have to know that Indonesia and other countries in expanding circle, they are uh, didn't get English from colonialization. Yeah, but because these countries use English, they need to do something else, like as what, like as for education, for entertainment, maybe, or for technology. Yeah, that they want to go higher and also go abroad. Yeah, like that. So they use English as a language for communication. Okay, everyone, we will go back to the South Asia, yeah. In South Asia, linguistically rich region with a long history of English usage, yeah, influenced by local language and culture. So in South Asia, there is a local language and culture also, yeah, like Indonesia. Nah, in this South Asia, there is a country like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and so on. Yeah, you can look at the map. Yeah, and also there is a dialect here. Yeah, but after the colonialization from the British, yeah, British countries, uh, English become a key language for administration and education in South Asia. That's why in South Asia there is also a diaspora. Yeah. So like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, they learn English from colonialization by the British. So their English will have an accent like a British English, yeah, but not a full British English, but still British English India or British English Pakistani English, like that. And then I will skip the historical, yeah, because I already talked about it in the fourth video. Okay, and then what about the status of South Asian Englishes? The status, yeah, of South Asian Englishes after the British left, after the colonialization is end in India, for example, yeah, English was still considered a foreign language. However, its use become more widespread, especially after India became independent in 1947, and more people could read and write. English became one of the most frequently spoken language in South Asia. Karchu also explained that South Asian English is the form of English spoken by educated people, and there are various versions and or dialect of it similar to variation of British and American English. So after the colonialization, yeah, in South Asia, English is still used by the society around these countries, yeah. Not only in India, but it can be in Sri Lanka also, and many more that countries around South Asia, yeah, because they have something, yeah, they have something to do with English, that they want their country become international, everyone. Yeah, that's why they still keep English language. Yeah. In 1967, India passes a law that made English equivalent to Hindi for government purposes. English remains strong in South Asia and is widely used in government, education, literature, and development, but rarely in religion. Yeah, because this English language is not um talk about a religion in India especially, yeah. It makes that this law India laws allow the English to be equal with Hindi language. We know, yeah, that India have their own language, right? If you watch Bollywood movies, you will understand, yeah, what Hindi language is. But they are keep the English language also, yeah, and make the law that English and also Hindi language is equal. Okay, so because of this growing up of the law and also the use of English in South Asia, the media and also communication make these countries more famous in international. Yeah, like as you know, the movie of Bollywood it's already famous, yeah, and well known in all countries in the world as something like a culture from India, like this, yeah. That's why the actor and actress from this country they speak English. Yeah, so their movies, their dance, yeah, can be understood by all countries in the world. Okay. And then for the nativization, yeah, of South Asian English, we can take a look of some aspect here. In South Asia, English has adapted itself to the local culture, making it different from the English spoken in countries like the UK or the USA. Although used internationally, South Asian English also has a specialized function at the local level. Like other forms of English, South Asian English has unique characteristic that set it apart from other variation. It means that for the nativization in South Asia, there is a part of English language skill uh, that will be different, yeah, different from what? Different from the native English. So take a look for the first part of the English language. Yeah, we can take a look here is a phonology or pronunciation that will be a bit different, yeah, from the native English. Look at here. The sound of some letters are different. For example, the T and the D sounds in South Asia Englishes are more retroflexed, yeah. While in the British or American English, these sounds are more alveolar. Now, these initial sounds like a P and T in South Asian English are not aspirated, yeah, or no blowing of air. Fricative like F and the th are pronounced as a P or T. Yeah. I think this is a look like Sunda, yeah, Sundanese, Sunda English. When you say F, but it's pronounced like a P, yeah. It can be similar, I think. Yeah. In some areas, a diphthong or double vowel sounds are pronounced as a single vowels. Yeah. And also words like inner and open can get an extra sound before the first vowel. So inner sounds like a yinner and open like a wopen. That's in South Asian English, yeah. In area where a Punjabi is spoken, Punjabi is a part of India, yeah. Consonant cluster are often simplified by adding an extra vowel. So sport sound like support, like that, yeah. This is a phenomena from the pronunciation, yeah. It based on the nativization. Nativization is something like we have to speak English, but our mother tongue is not English, but we have to speak English like that, yeah. So it will influence our pronunciation, of course, because we rarely use English, and then our pronunciation will something different, yeah, from that it should be a native English. And then after the pronunciation, we have also a part of the English skill grammar, yeah. Look at here, what the different grammar in South Asian English is after nativization, yeah. The use of articles such as a, an, and the, yeah, is different in South Asian Englishes than in British or American English. Reduplication is common where a word is repeated for emphasis such as small, small pieces. R- Preposition are used in different ways and common texts such as isn't it or no are often added to statements. For example, he was angry, isn't it? Idioms and expression are often taken from local language such as the Hindi, Urdu, expression, we eat their salt, meaning loyalty, or a big man and a small radishes, symbolizing the difference in power. Yeah, this is part of the grammar use, but also influenced by the culture, I think, yeah, culture from this country, yeah. Okay. And then look at the vocabulary, everyone. In vocabulary, also there is a bit different, yeah, after nativization in South Asia. Some words from South Asian languages have become part of the English language, such as cheat, a note, tiffin, snack, or boogie, train. It's rather really different, right? If we don't similar with cheat, we never know that it's a note, yeah. And also triffin. If we don't know what is triffin, it means snack. We will never know, yeah. And then South Asian English created unique phrases such as upliftment, improving people's life, cousin brother, close cousin, and also head bath, washing hair after an oil massage. Nah, they not only something like making their new vocabulary here, and also they make some phrases, I think, yeah, because they put two words together here, like a cousin brother. It's two words, yeah, cousin and also brother, and it means a close cousin, yeah. So if you are going to South Asia and you found there is people there in a society there speak about cousin brother, you have to know that the meaning is close cousin, yeah. It's like our family in a relative like that, yeah. It's okay, it's fine. And also words like pundit and mantra have been adopted into global English. Wow, amazing, right? But others like Ashimsa, non-violence, and satyagraha, passive resistance, are more specific to South Asia. We know that mantra is something common, right? Yeah, because if we try to dig it up, that mantra words is coming from Hindi, everyone. Hindi language. Yeah. Not from American or from English, no. But it's adopted, yeah. English adopted this language, Hindi language, into claim, yeah, that the claim that this word mantra can be used as an English part of the English vocabulary. That's amazing, yeah. But for the Satyagraha and also what is it? Ahimsa, it's only used in South Asia, yeah. So not all people understand this kind of vocabulary. Like as I said, in Indonesia, if we talk about satay, we know that this is come from one of the name of food, yeah, satay. This is also adopted, yeah, from Indonesian language to English because we never knew how to make a satay into English. There is no, so English just adopted the language, the Indonesian language into English like that. Or salak, durian. Nah, we will talk about it more, yeah, when we come to the uh, Indonesia, yeah, because Indonesia is in Southeast Asian, I think, Southeast Asian languages. We will talk about it later, yeah. Nah, so in nativization, we have a phonology, grammar, and also vocabulary. Next, we go on the bilingual's creativity, everyone. Look at here in the phenomenon in bilingual's creativity in South Asia. Bilingualism in South Asia are skilled at the creating new English words and expression through code switching. Do you know code switching? This practice allows them to reflect their unique cultural experiences and communicate effectively in various contexts. Nah, we can see from the example. The example of bilingual creativity here, the code switching. When we talk about code switching, there is something that the language is switch, yeah. If we use English, yeah, in our sentences, and then some of the words will switch in another language. That a code switching, yeah. No, that's a code mixing. If switch, we switch all, yeah, all the entire sentence. Sorry. So, seamlessly switching between languages within a sentence or conversation. So, if I talk firstly using English, I mean my name is Sigmar Pravitasari. Now I live in Banten. Saya mengajar di jurusan Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris. It means that I use code switching to switch English into Bahasa Indonesia, everyone, like that. It can appears in the sentence or in a conversation, yeah. And it's something like someone when they can't or they didn't fluent in English, and then when they do a conversation or speech or others, they I will say this is like oh my god, what I have to say next. I forget everything. I forget to speak how to speak in English, and then let me use my mother tongue like that, and then he or she switch into another language like that. And then new word creation, combining elements from different languages to form a new terms. They also have a skill, yeah, to make a something creativity in a language, yeah, by combining element from different language to form new terms that I already talk about it in nativization, yeah. Here, when we talk about vocabulary, yeah, they make a tiffin for snack and buggy for train. That's a really creative, yeah. And also idioms and proverb usage, yeah, incorporate native language idioms and proverb into English. You know proverb? Proverb is like if in Indonesia we say it, what is it? Peribahasa. Peribahasa like if we talk proverb in English is please none and you will please none. If you please, jika kamu menyenangkan banyak orang, sebenarnya kamu tidak menyenangkan siapapun. Like that ya. That's a peribahasa ya. Bilingualism in South Asia is a rich source of linguistic innovation. Nah, they are creative ya. And then in Anglicization in South Asia also a complex phenomenon, everyone. Anglicization is the increasing prevalence of English in South Asia, driven by globalization, urbanization, and the rising middle class. It's shaping the region's linguistic landscape. Key factors driving Anglicization. The first one is education. English is the medium of instruction in many school and university. Yeah, so in India and Sri Lanka and so on in the country of South Asia, they agree to use English equal to their mother tongue, yeah, their local language to use in education sector, everyone. That's why their education is up to the global context, yeah. And then for the media, mass media extensively use English. As I talked earlier, that in India especially, yeah, there is a Bollywood, and all the actor and the actress trying to dance, sing a song, yeah, and then do a movie and make all their creativity appears in international, yeah. So they use English as a communication without uh, forgetting their culture, of course. And then for the business sector, English is crucial for international trade. Yeah. And then for the government in South Asia, official documents and policies often use English. Yeah. So this is international laws. Yeah. And then the impact, what is the impact after Anglicization in South Asian English? Take a look here. The first is dialect variation. The emergence of diverse English dialect influenced by local languages. So, by looking at this, there is a variation in dialect, everyone, that used in South Asian Englishes. And the second one is local language influence. Sentence structure and word choice reflect the speaker's mother tongue. Maybe they speak Hindi, but they speak Hindi like English. Yeah, like that. And then new vocabulary creation, like we talk about it more in the previous, yeah. Bilinguals create unique terms reflecting local realities. Okay. And then for the implication of bilingual creativity and Anglicization, yeah, look at here. There is a two. Language and cultural enrichment. This phenomena contribute to the region's linguistic and cultural diversity. And the second one, concern about language loss. Anglicization raises concern about the preservation of language of a local language. That's the implication, yeah, from bilingual creativity and Anglicization in South Asia. Now, how about the attitudes, everyone? The attitudes toward the English in South Asia. The attitudes in toward English in South Asia after independence, yeah, is still an important topic. Despite attempt to limit its use, English still plays a significant role in countries such as India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. Yeah. So in these three countries, English is still used and equal, yeah, to their local language, their mother tongue. Yeah. Despite they use Hindi, Urdu, and many more, they still use English. Yeah, for like I talked earlier, it can be in the education sector, in the mass media sector, or also in the business sector. And then the dominance of English remains strong. Macaulay vision of making Indian society fully English instead and intellect question fully achieve. English instead become a means of national unity and pan-India cultural revival. Yeah, yeah. This is the phenomenon happen in uh, South Asia. Yeah, toward the use of English. Okay, and then models of South Asia Anglicis, a pervasive and seemingly permanent source of concern and controversy in South Asia Anglicis is what model should be followed in language education and other intra-national dominance. There's a wide gap between the perceived norm and the performance of users. Yeah. For many years, British English was regarded as the standard due to clear historical reasons, leading to a sense of inadequacy among many users. So, since the colonialization come from the British, yeah, from the Europe, it means that their English is like an British English, yeah, everyone. You know the difference between British English and American English, right? If you speak English like a British, you will say what the like that, yeah. So in Hindi, in India, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan and South Asia countries, they will speak like that, yeah. But also influenced by their local language. That's it, yeah, like that. Okay, so we are in our conclusion, everyone, for discussing about South Asian Anglicism. So here, uh, sometimes colonialization it can be dramatic, yeah, but sometimes it remains something historical and also help us to learn something new like an language, yeah, English language that help us become more internationally, yeah. That's why in also it happened in South Asia countries, yeah. This is not only in regards to American or British English, but also from like India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka English. Yeah, they still remain use their own local language, but also use English. Yeah, as have a variety of English in South Africa. Okay, and then for the such activity, you may identify. Yeah, I already uploaded the material for South Asia and so on. For the ebook, you can read more by yourself. Yeah, and then for the assignment, before I close this video, for the assignment, please, as usual, yeah, if you watch me already in this video, and then you can go to summarize everything that I already talked about South Asian Anglicis, yeah. And then please remind three important key point of what I already talked about, yeah, about South Asian Anglicis. And then you have to record, explain it and record it in the video, the duration of 3 minutes or more, yeah. And then you have to uh, take your link video in Google Classroom assignment, yeah, to prove that you did the assignment. That's all, everyone, that I can explain to you. Yeah, that's all. And so, thank you so much for watching. We already talk about more about South Asian Anglicis. Happy learning and see you next on my video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.